So one thing that I want you to emphasize is this. Let me see. No, you are looking at this painting. So this is the painting supposedly attributed to Shin Yun-bok, the painter, court painter we saw earlier. So this is beauty in the 18th century. So women has a tight skirt, a tight jacket and narrow sleeve and full skirt like this, and then the short ribbon as you see, and then the neckband and then armpit and the ribbon are in the same color. So again, the modern designer created the silhouette with the new fabric. So this one is called tight jacket and then voluminous skirt. So that is a popular silhouette in the 18th and 19th century. A little bit more stylish, that's what they thought. And then this is artificial hair. In my Korean art or Asian art class, I have a more painting showing people like organizing their hair. But in one historical record, a 14-year-old bride died. There is a record. Like, so, people are saying that, what's the reason of her death? The cause of her death? The king asked, and the minister replied that this young girl was the daughter-in-law of the prime minister, and her artificial hair was so heavy that she fell down and she broke her neck. That's why she died. And the king said, how tragic that is. We should abolish that ridiculous fashion of the time. So he ordered every wives and daughters at the time not to wear that artificial hair. But even though the king had that sumptuary law, like what should be worn, what should not be worn, people still continue this custom. Nancy?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. The first one is, this silhouette looks close to what they were wearing in Western wear at the time. It's very different than the looser garments. Was this influenced at all by?
No, there is no correlation.
Oh, okay.
But I know what Nancy is referring to. Like, many of you took history of Western costume, and I know that you took the French fashion in the 18th century. And if you remember, like Marie Antoinette, right? Louis XIV, right? Like a man's silhouette has nothing to do with it, but the women's silhouette, you have very well tailored, like a chest and top part, right? And then you have a full skirt. Even if you go to the 19th century, you have a crinoline, right? To make a really, really big skirt. But there is no correlation between the voluminous skirt and the European dress. But somehow that is the pride of their material culture. I mean, obviously, somebody can waste, I should not say waste, but overspend large cloth to make those fabrics. So in a way, it's like a expression of their economic power. But only really wealthy people had this look. So Nancy, what's your second question?
Okay, so the other question is, so the kimono is like a household word. Everybody knows it. But the Korean garments are just as beautiful. And I'm just wondering, like, how come it was that Japan had so much influence, but we didn't really know about the Korean garments? Like, they just as nice,
So the threshold is 1850s. Japanese culture became very popular in the 1870s through 1890s through the world expositions. So that's why kimono were collected in large quantities and then better known. And then also it is also attributed to governmental or public support in order to emphasize that, the excellence of Japanese culture. But any museum in the United States, they have several garments of Korean hanbok, like Joseon Dynasty clothes, a lot of them. If you go to the American Museum of Natural History, they have a huge collection of Korean jogori, chima, and then hanbok, angsangbo, but they are not on display. That's why you don't know much about it. Not on display.
So, excuse me. So, in other words, so you're saying maybe the Japanese government was better at marketing themselves at that time than
Yeah, in a way, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, and then I'm going to show you the final work. So I actually wrote it in a way. Hold on, why is my computer so slow? Okay. Oh, so do you see this word called Ha Hu Sang Ba? I didn't write it Chinese characters, but that means full skirt and tight jacket. And I often make an analogy that it's very similar to New Look by Dior. Well, there is no correlation, but top is tight and the skirt is full. But they knew that accentuates women's attractiveness. So this is again a reconstruction based on the painting that I showed you. And we will see modern designers later, but her name is Im Sun-ho. Im is her last name. She has a boutique in Korea. So she created a modern look using neoprene. This is more like a thermal treated synthetic fabric in order to imitate the look that we've seen over here. Because this was her inspiration, and she created a modern dress. Isn't it interesting? And this is a Jin Tae-ok. Jin Tae-ok is a like a contemporary designer. You can buy her clothes in department stores. And she created that jean skirt. It's made of the jeans, like an indigo dyed jeans fabric. And then this apron type of top is inspired by that hwarot, that bridal gown. And this silhouette is also related to this. So the modern designers made their comments based on the 18th century fashion. And Kyunghee is very famous hanbok designer. She had couture shows in Paris when she was alive, but she died a few years ago. She's not that old, but she died young. But she got a lot of criticism because her hanbok dress was fantastic and radical, so that many critics said that this is not essence of hanbok. So something to think about. And this is Karl Lagerfeld, director of Chanel, inspired by the Korean patchwork. So he connected the different colors of black to create garments, sort of a turumagi style garment.